How you doing? Good to have you back. I thought I'd do something about power chords today. Power chords are a really powerful tool when it comes to, especially when it comes to recording. I've found because especially in the pop genre, and there are lots of different ways that you can use them and manipulate them and invert them. And I'm just going to discuss some of those today. Okay, so first of all, theoretically speaking, what is a power chord? If we were to take a simple chord like let's say a G chord, a G triad, the notes in a G triad would be G, B, and D, 1, 3, and 5. But a power chord takes out the third because with the distortion normally used for power chords, the third just starts to get really confusing. The overtones are just through the roof. So we take out the third and we're only left with the root and the fifth, which I'll do down here. So I've got a G and a D. And that's the most common power chord. So for today, we're going to pretend we've only got a 4-string, well, maybe with one exception later, a 4-stringed instrument. So just think of the bottom 4 strings. They're tuned all the same in fourths. So from the E to the A, E, F, G, A, 1, 2, 3, 4. From the A to the D, 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D, and so on. So the bottom 4 strings of the guitar are tuned in fourths. So that means if we do a power chord like this, we're going to call this our root, our naming note. We have a G5. We're going to call this a G5. If I take that same shape and put it here, I can call it a C5. Right? Because it uses the two, the root and the fifth of a C major chord. And if I do here, root and 5, I've got the F5, and all the shapes, as you can see, are the same. Now, linearly or horizontally, these shapes are going to move the same. Right? So that's pretty straightforward. And the same thing goes up here. Right, obviously quite a bit brighter up here. Okay, so that's the most common power chord. This one with that just is from the root to the 5. The naming note is on the bottom. Let's start building on this idea. Here's a root on the bottom. Here is the fifth, and I'm going to take a root and put it on the top as well, an octave higher. So now I've got a G, which is the root, the naming note, and I've got a D, which is the fifth, and then I've got another root an octave higher. So same deal, just a little bit bigger and fatter because you've got 2 roots in that chord. Since I've got 3 notes in this chord now, not 3 different notes, but I've got, a root in an octave and then a fifth in the middle, I can eliminate the bottom, which I'm going to do now. I'm just going to take out the root that's at the bottom, and instead I'm going to use the only the root at the octave. So now I've got a fifth below and the root on top. Right, same deal. Right, so I've just those are power chords. I'm just using the inversion. Okay, how does this inversion work? From here to here is a fifth, and from here to here, in the inversion, when I take the root and put it on top, it's a fourth. Okay, so the fifth inverts to a fourth, a perfect fourth, a perfect fifth. All right. So that power chord is powerful, and it's you can have a power chord as simple as open strings, right? Because we're in fourths, so a fourth is an inversion of a fifth. Okay, got to remember that one. That's important. So it's sort of an abbreviated, quicker version, right? And that's the same thing is going to happen on the four strings, or right. And yeah, you can build lines that way, and there's lots of sort of cool stuff you can do with the fourth. And now, where do you get the naming note? The naming note is not on the bottom because the naming note has flipped to the top, so it's still a G5, right? But the inversion puts the G on top. There's my root on top. This is a G5, A5, G5, F5, G5. Okay, root on top. Okay, let's experiment with that a little bit more. If the root is on top here, let's take this F, right? So here's my naming note, and here is the F or the C. I'm sorry. So we have F and C together. This is an F5 because I've inverted it from here, right? So we've just taken the fourth, and we still you could call it no. Let's just stick to the fifth. Okay, and now how about if I double the fifth? This could be cool. So I'm doubling the fifth. I'm going to double the C and keep the F, the root, in the middle. Well, that's big. Okay, and so but I end up with the same idea. My root, my naming note, is still in the middle, but I've taken it and inverted it, and now instead of just having 1/5, I've got 2/5. But we still call this, an F5. The root is still an F. Okay, I guess I could, as mentioned earlier, I could take this, extend this, and double the root, and double the fifth, and now I'm on the second string for the first time, and you can see how I have to compensate for the tuning of that second string. Right. Let's try another implication of an inversion of a power chord, between a quick change between two chords. So here we have the C and its fifth, and now we double that C, and we've got a C at the octave. Okay, so two C's and a fifth, so we're going to call that a C5. If I remove this middle finger, now this chord changes to an F5 with 2/5. So this is an F5 with 2/5. This is a C. This is an F. C5 to F5. You get the idea. Super handy, little, lightning quick change. And the same is going to apply to the bottom. It might get a bit heavy. Now, so here's my root, G, and I'm changing to a C with 2/5. Yeah, you get the idea. So really quick changes. And simple to play. So what's this lesson about? This lesson is about just taking it beyond a root and a 5, and adding an octave root, which I'm sure many of you have done already, and then taking the logic of that, removing the lower root, and now we've got the quick changing fourths, which are an inversion of the fifth. And then once we've got the fourth happening, we can take that fourth and duplicate the fifth. Right? That's a big sound. And we can also do that on the bottom strings. You know, it all depends on what you're recording or what you're playing. You know, like in some cases, the big fat bottom strings will work great. In other cases, they'll be too heavy. But that's the whole idea. You can nuance power chords to suit the situation, right? We did this double octave thing, you know, 2 octaves, and putting them together, right? And I added the second string, so you can see that compensation I have to make with the second string. Naturally, you can take these ideas and work them up, you know, beyond the bottom 4 strings, and they'll still be power chords. You know, that kind of stuff you've heard it a million times before. So those are still, you know, if you've got just a 1 and a 5, they're still power chords. They're still going to function as power chords. So keep in mind that when we play a power chord, we eliminate the third. The reason we eliminate the third is because the third is very complex in the harmonic overtone series, and when we've got lots of distortion, that distortion amplifies the overtones, and the overtones start to conflict with each other when you're playing a third as well. It's not so bad when you're a lot less distorted, but when you're more distorted, it starts to get creepy. Remember that power chords also invert just the way a triad will invert. And so take the bottom note, put it to the top, double up the fifth, double up the root. You know, try open string power chords. All of these fourths are power chords, right? There's lots and lots of stuff that you can do there. And as I mentioned, the drop tuning power chord thing is a whole other thing. And I'm going to do another video on that a little bit later. If this video was helpful to you, like, subscribe. It helps the algorithm immensely. Buy me a coffee. Buy one of my books, which you can get on Amazon. And please leave a question. I get back to all the questions with fairly lengthy answers. So thanks for stopping by. Thanks for your support, and we'll see you real soon.